This guy has a daughter much older than myself. He is older than my father. I have a guy, an old vet, who has been coming into my place of work, who keeps saying that we should start something. After I have said, respectfully, that I have no interest in any relationship, he said that we should be friends. And see where the relationship goes from there. Also, he keeps mentioning how he has a past that he will let me know about once we get to know each other. He keeps inviting me to this apparently super rad timeshare hotel room he has. Also tells me how I need to get out more. And experience life. And that I have a nice body. No. He probably wants to murder me and wear my skin.
This was about 2 months ago, but I was the only girl who worked in an auto body shop as a manager for the mechanics. I was half their age, 21, and my job varied between supervising the mechanics and making sure they did what needed to be done, or working the front desk and writing up customers. Literally every single day more than half of the customers would comment about seeing a girl work in an auto body shop. Eventually, I got used to it. But one man came in along with a fucking avalanche of customers, and seeing as though we were short-handed, I'd run back and forth to cover the front desk and do small jobs on some of the cars so the mechanics could tackle the bigger, more complex jobs. Anyway, this dude spent all afternoon talking to himself. He'd follow me to the front desk or back into the service area, and even tried to follow me to the inventory room. I had to keep telling him to stay in the waiting area since it was the company policy. He started saying things like how he wanted to break his car apart and watch me fix it. He'd comment on my body and say that he wanted to see me get oil all over my shirt. He repeatedly invited me over to his house, and I kept declining, all while trying my hardest to stay polite. He'd say other things too, about me, but that was pretty much the gist of it. Keep in mind, this guy was in his 50s, married, and had kids much older than me. He'd come back and do the same thing every few weeks for the next 2 months, and if I was the only manager there, I had to endure it all over again. But other times, I'd just hide in the service area until he was gone.
Not retail, but I used to manage a diner. We had a regular elderly customer who was an ex-reverend, just went by the name of Rev, used to wear the collar and everything. Well, old Reverend had an eye for the young high school-aged servers. He always would tip well and never said anything too outrageous. Well, one day I had to ban old Reverend from the restaurant when he told one of my 16-year-old servers he wanted to lock her in a closet with him, cover her in honey, and lick her all over.
So this is still ongoing. I'm a hairstylist in a retail makeup store. Salon is in the back but still in the store, so I get a lot of my work through walk-ins. As a stylist, it's my job to be warm, inviting, and listen. Sometimes that bites me in the ass, as in the case of Joe. Joe is partially paralyzed because he rolled his truck. Joe also has a fair amount of brain damage. He's mentally 13 years old. He's also a giant pain in my ads. He regularly shows up and demands an appointment. When I start his appointment, he makes comments about my body, threatens to kill my boyfriend, threatens to shoot up my work, and has proposed to me twice. After the death threats, my lovely corporate store has allowed me a 30-minute break when he comes in. Thanks, corporate entity, I feel so safe.
Every Friday morning an old well-dressed man is sitting in his car when I come in 30 minutes before I open the store. After I'm inside, he comes to the front and looks at the newspapers for a few minutes, then goes back to his car and sits in the back seat. He's by himself. When I open the store, he gets a few things, pays, and leaves. He also has a 1,000-yard stare, and I've never heard him say a word.
I worked at a gas station in high school. There was this old man that would come in about once a week. He had to be in his 80s. He would never really say anything, just move super slowly through the store, breathing with a heavy rasp. The worst thing was his smell. I would have to hold my breath while he was checking out, and this stench would just follow him through the store. If you are familiar with the smell of a dead mouse or other critter rotting away in the wall, It was just like that but 100 times stronger. Finally, one day he came in without a jacket on, and as he walked out I saw that the entire back of his shirt was soaked with what looked like a combination of old and fresh blood and pus. I am not sure what it was from, but obviously he had open and seeping sores covering his back. Looking back I feel terrible for the guy, but man, I still shudder thinking about it. I was a guest service team lead, head cashier at Target. We would get an overweight guy with a neckbeard on a scooter, and I think there may have been some slow, mental issues there as well. Creepy guy would come in daily and go to all of the cute high school girl lines and make them extremely uncomfortable. Every time I saw him heading towards the front end I would take over for whomever he was gunning for and have that particular cashier go do something else that I would normally be doing, watching lights, helping other cashiers, making change, filling up cash registers and directing traffic. Not retail but still relevant. I worked in a sub-shop chain a year ago when I was 19. During the 5-10 shift, usually the girls work, since the guys take the graveyard shift right after, and a lot of the time one girl leaves and only one girl is left to run the store by herself. There was this one older, probably late 40s, man who would come in all the time just to ask for some quarters to do laundry or some bullshit and would ask me creepy questions. This was already in a sketchy area of town and that particular location had been robbed twice that year already. One night the change guy came in while I was working by myself and no one else was in the store and kept asking me personal questions like where do I live and what do I do for fun. He asked me if I wanted to go out with him and then left and came back with some weird scented girly shit he got from the dollar store saying it was something special for a special girl. This was probably the most uncomfortable I have ever felt. TL, doctor, creepy man asked me out after asking for change. Maybe fancy dollar store body wash could change a girl's mind. It's finally my time to share this story. First off, TL, Dr. Guy spends a metrocast ton on baby clothes, returns them the next day. At least once a week. So I worked at a certain retail store that's currently on its last legs and will probably be bankrupt again within the next year. It was only for one summer, honestly not a terrible job but not something I was interested in doing long term. Anyway, over that summer about once a week this guy would ride his really expensive bike to the store, come in and ask for an employee to walk around with him and help him pick out baby clothes. An employee just had to help him. He would fill up an entire shopping cart with baby clothes. Then, he would come to the checkout. Usually, he would find my register. I don't know why. But we would have the exact same conversation every single time he came to my register. He would tell me how his son was having a birthday the next day and he was there to buy his birthday presents. I would bag all of the clothes for him. He would flash a literal stack of $100 bills to pay. Usually $400 or $500 worth of baby clothes at a time. He would always let me know while he was paying that he would be back in the next day with more money, probably $1,000 to buy more presents for him. That would inevitably lead to him telling me how rich he was from owning the bike store in town. He would explain that he used to ride his bike professionally. The thing is, I've lived in this area my whole life and we have never at any point had a bike store. He always came back the next day just like he said, but not to buy more birthday presents. He would always be back the next day to return everything he had bought the day before. And then, no fail, the next week he would start the whole process over again. It was his son's birthday the next day. Brag about his money. Promise he'd be back the next day with more money for more presents. Return hundreds of dollars of baby clothes. Repeat. I have no idea why and I've honestly never seen the guy since I stopped working there. He got really creepy with one of my co-workers right near the end of my time working there and it was the last time I ever saw him. Thank you for watching. New videos posted weekly. See you then. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel.